today we are going to be making banana bread. Of course we're making banana bread. Isn't everyone making banana bread? Well, my niece messaged me this week with an article from the Wall Street Journal about banana bread and how everyone was making it, and I had seen a little bit of it myself. So why not jump on the bandwagon and make banana bread? It's one of the easiest things to put together. So I'm going to start really quick this morning. First of all, let me just say too, this recipe is actually my niece's recipe. Shout out to Melanie's speech, because I don't know, maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe more, she had made me some banana nut muffins. And I have been on the lifelong quest for the best banana bread recipe. And I had these muffins and they were so good. She shared the recipe with me, and that's now the only recipe I've used since then. And I use it both in bread and for muffins. So thank you, Melanie, for both the recipe and the idea. And we'll start making some bread. So in here, we're going to have dry ingredients. I have 1 3/4 cup of just regular all-purpose flour and 1½ cups of sugar. To that, I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking soda. Teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So that's going in here, and I'm just going to whisk that in to the other dry ingredients. And what's easy about this is, again, there's no special equipment really needed for this. You're just going to need a couple bowls. You're just going to whisk wet ingredients into dry ingredients. Now, I like nuts in my banana bread, and I like pecans. So I have toasted them like I usually do, because I just think it brings out so much more flavor if you take that extra 5 minutes or so and toast some nuts. So these have cooled off now, and I've got about a cup of nuts. If you hear munching and crunching in the background, Bruce is finishing up his breakfast this morning as we are doing this little video. So in goes a cup of nuts. And I'm just going to stir that in there too. So we've got the flour, the sugar, the baking soda, the salt, and some nuts. Simple enough. Over here, we're going to have our wet ingredients. I have in here 3 bananas that were actually in the freezer. I take my bananas, and if I see them getting nice and ripe and brown, I put them in the freezer. Because I don't always want to make banana bread on that specific day that they turn to their peak of brownness. So I take them, throw them in a Ziploc bag, and put them in the freezer. So I took them out this morning to thaw. Now I'm just going to mash these. So there's 3 mashed bananas in there. I'm going to add a couple of eggs. I've got 2 of those going in. There's 1. There's 2. And you'll notice how well those came out. If you saw last week's video, excuse me, you notice that the eggs did not come out as well, and that's because I forgot to set them out. Those came out perfectly because they've been sitting out for about 20 minutes prior to. So we're beating that in. So right now I've got 2 eggs and 3 bananas. 2 eggs, 3 bananas. And in here, I've got the rest of our liquid ingredients, which is a 1/2 cup of oil, just a plain oil, 1/4 cup of buttermilk, it's still on my buttermilk kit, and a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon plus of some vanilla. So we're just going to add those wet ingredients to the bananas and the eggs. Just stir that up briefly to get it mixed pretty good before we add it to the dry ingredients. Because like I discussed before, this is another type of a batter where you're not going to want to over mix it. You're just going to need to mix it until everything is wet. So 3 bananas, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla, a 1/2 cup of oil, and a 1/4 cup of buttermilk into 1 3/4 cup of flour, 1.5 cups of sugar, a half a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda, and nuts because I like them. So now we're just going to fold that all together, get it all stirred up. Sorry if that's in your way. And another reason I wanted to do this today was because it is so quick and I can get this done and go out and work in my garden, because now that it's finally a beautiful day here, that's what I would really like to do. Baking is great, but when you get a great day like this, I would much rather be out there, got my overalls on, all ready to go out there and plant a few flowers, put some mulch out there. Okay, so you can see how quick that stirred in. Okay, so that's there. Now, I like to make small loaves because they just go farther and we don't eat that much at one time. So I'm gonna put these into a multi-small loaf pan and get them in the oven. It's gonna go in for 350. I'm gonna start checking it at around 35 minutes. We're gonna come back here in a little bit and we're gonna see how they look. Okay, so I've got the batter in here. It makes about 3 loaves, and we're gonna put it into that 350-degree oven. Like I said, I'll probably check this at about 35 minutes. Because for some reason, I never write down exactly how long it takes me to do the small loaves. So in it goes. We'll come back in a little bit when they're done and we're taking them out. And I've worked in the garden. I'll probably have dirty fingernails. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, we're back in the kitchen. The bread is done. It took closer to 45 minutes in the oven. Let it cool in the pan, 10 to 15 minutes. Got them out, cooled on this rack. And I went out, planted some flowers. I'm hot, I'm sweaty, but I do want some banana bread. So I think I'm gonna cut into one of these little loaves. You can see they make the perfect size. I'll just probably take one to work, maybe one over to the neighbors. Tim and I will eat one here. And in the article I was reading, apparently right now, banana bread is the most Googled recipe according to Google. So if you don't make my recipe, you can make your own favorite recipe. Look one up on Google, because apparently that's the thing to do. You got it close up there, Tim. See, we got nuts, we got bananas, we got deliciousness all baked in here. So quick bite. I'm telling you, you have to toast your nuts. It makes such a difference. I can taste those toasted walnuts in with that banana. It is really good. And it is really hitting the spot right now because I'm hungry and I'm hot. So, make this banana bread recipe, Google a banana bread recipe, make some banana bread. You can also make this into muffins. I do that almost more than I do bread. So make muffins, make 1 big loaf of bread, make 3 small loaves, make some banana bread. Stay safe. Don't stay in today. Go outside and enjoy it. And stay healthy and have a good day.